Man finds old disposable camera, calls the police when he sees what's inside. Moving into a new apartment can evoke a lot of emotions all at once: happiness and excitement at getting a new place. The stress of moving, the slight tension of wondering who the previous tenants might have been in the end, though it is all worth it once everything settles and you can call the place home. You can even make some renovations to make the place feel more like you. Unless, of course, you find something shocking during your renovations. This is exactly what happened to this man upon starting to renovate his new apartment. What he discovered would prove to be a very shocking thing. James is a single guy looking for a new apartment for himself. Since he no longer wants to have roommates, his apartment search went on for months until he finally found a perfect place. It was the right amount of space for men within the perfect price range, but he wasn't expecting the secret. He was going to find James moved into the apartment over a weekend. He moved with furniture. He hadn't bought other furniture to make up the differences in what he didn't have. He was very happy with himself and felt that he was really starting a new chapter in his life, but then someone showed up at his new apartment. It was the previous renter coming in to make sure that he'd gotten everything out. James assured him that the apartment had been completely empty when he moved his stuff, and the previous renter was a strange foreign man with a thick accent who also intimidated James, but James didn't want him walking around his new apartment either. The previous tenant made James promise that if he found anything to give him a call, and he gave James a business card. James Douglas was weird and tossed a business card into his junk drawer. Then he continued his plans for renovations. He was intending on putting in a new ceiling because he didn't like popcorn ceilings at all. Getting that ceiling replaced was James' biggest priority. Once all his furniture was settled in the middle of renovations, James found something hidden in the ceiling. It was an old disposable camera. James remembered what the previous renter had said about giving him a call, but he was really curious. James decided to take the camera to the local drugstore to get the photos developed. He wanted to know why there was an old disposable camera hidden up in the rafters. What could be on the film? He didn't really have any intention of notifying the previous renter. At this point, he did some errands while waiting for the photos, and he couldn't wait to see what he found out. The photos seemed to take forever, and James was on the proverbial end of his seat, waiting for them to come out. But finally, he was called at the photos reading. He eagerly flipped through them and realized that most of the photos were of this young woman, and he wondered who she could be. He took the photos home and scanned them into his computer, so he could do a reverse image search on Google. He was really curious to who she could be and wanted to contact her rather than the previous renter. What if the guy was just some creep? But then the internet search turned up something even more incredible. Based on the search, the woman's a famous wanted spy. James double and triple checked his searches, but the woman in the photos he had developed in the images of this wanted spy were definitely one and the same, or at the very least, a close relative. James decided it was time to call the police. The police were very interested to learn of this information and asked James if he had any other information to give him. At first, he couldn't think of anything. But then he remembered that the previous renter had given him that business card. So he gave that to the police as well. He thought that would be it, but it was wrong. As it turns out, the police arrested the previous renter for also being a wanted spy and were able to make some serious headway on finding the woman from the photos. She'd been evading several different governments for almost 10 years. Both spies were found and apprehended, and James was given a small monetary reward for his efforts and loyalty.